How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's for Bill Belichick's child bride. I'm sorry, I mean his 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. Jordan is being dragged online right now because of this video. She's on the field coaching Bill while he coaches his Tar Heels. Why the fuss? Oh, because it's weird a 24-year-old is prancing around her 72-year-old sugar daddy's place of work? Well, they got over the weird in the relationship the moment I can't even say it, I'll gag. But let me make it clear. I support Jordan's involvement with UNC football. She's channeling Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side. Run the dang ball, Bill. She's helping coach relate to the kids. I mean, I can tell you, this man does not know what Riz means. Plus, she's helping the UNC football brand. I can tell you, I have never ever cared about what North Carolina football is doing in April, and now I can't look away. If I'm Bill, I'm not concerned with Jordan interfering with my coaching because he's a vet. What I would be concerned about if I was Bill, if anything, is Jordan leaving him for a hot 23-year-old with that NIL.
Access to cool things. That's my guess. I'm just going to say it. But anyway, he gives this interview, and now it's starting to look much more like a Jill Biden situation. That's all I could think of, you guys. Like, she's like Dr. Jill on the sidelines calling all the shots and like trying to.
You know, a lot of people are, how do I say this, a little bit baffled at what's going on here. And of course, there's like two different sides of the story here. But yeah, 73, 74-year-old man with a 24, 25-year-old girl. Now, to Coach Belichick, I think you should take what happened here recently with this guy here that you're seeing in the B-roll footage. I think you should take that with, how do I say, you should probably view that as a bit of a cautionary tale. However, I got to tell you guys right now, I think that Bill Belichick is a little bit smarter than that. Even though his judgment has been called into question over this, I think it's time we discuss this little matter because you've got people out there, including one in particular, who believes that this right here is a Jill Biden scenario. Now, gang, before we fully dig into this, two very, very quick things. The first video essay should be out in the next week and a half. I'm going to try to have it out before Mother's Day. That right there, of course, is going to be on the film Full Metal Jacket. I'm also going to be releasing another cut of that to my second channel, Gear Issue 33, The Crusty Old Vet, to kind of get things started. That right there, of course, is going to be after the China simping video that I'm going to be having out a little bit later on this week on both channels. So make sure you guys stick around for both. Also, something else too, this right here is also kind of like the last few takes before we fully transition over to that there, or at least we start going back into one video a day for the time being until we fully transition over. It should only take about a month and a half, but still though, if you guys looked at the updates video, which will be in the description box, you guys will get a full explanation there. Now, let's go ahead and dive this. Oh, but wait, first and foremost, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. If you like this kind of content, please hit the thumbs up button too, so that way the video will go up in the algorithm and get out to a much, much larger audience. YouTube is kind of shadow ban the channel, so make sure you guys are doing that. Also, something else too, make sure the notifications bell is on, so that way you guys are notified when the videos come out. And now let's go ahead and get into it. So, Bill Belichick. The guy won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots. He also has a couple of Super Bowl rings as the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants under Bill Parcells. And he's in his 70s. And he's seeing this girl named Jordan Hudson. By the way, this same girl was apparently with another man before Bill, who was like 64 years old. I'll leave links in the description box. I'm not going to go fully into detail. And a lot of people out there believe that this girl is, in fact, an opportunist. Now, before we go any further, there's one more thing that I want to say. You guys saw this image of Shannon Sharpe that I put up. I think it's kind of funny that Shannon Sharpe had like 4 or 5 separate videos commenting on Bill Belichick's situation, on how it is that Bill was seeing a girl much, much younger than him. Yet Shannon Sharpe, at the exact same time, is being sued by a girl that's much, much younger than him. We've already done videos on that. I just think it's kind of funny. It's kind of ironic that this is actually happening. Now, before we really dig into this, I have a rule, okay? Half your age plus 7. Maybe plus 5, plus 8, depending on how mature, plus 6, depending on how mature the girl is. Bill, you're 73, 74 years old. That right there would mean that obviously you would need to find a girl that is like, I don't know, 38, maybe plus 5, maybe 44, 45 years old. But still, though, at the same time, though, what Bill is doing is not illegal. Now, me personally, I would never go this low. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I think that some of the criticisms out there are, in fact, warranted. However, I do want to present you guys both sides of the coin, so let us go ahead and get to that. Now, for starters, there was this bit from 60 Minutes. Now, you guys obviously caught some of that at the very, very beginning. Well, let's go back through that. Let's go ahead and start with the bit that went 100% viral.
Right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting.
What a bitch.
And the other point is that this interview looks quite emasculating. But I am pretty sure that there were conversations held in the back, and maybe Bill just may not be able to control her or be able to keep up with her. Still, though, at the same time, though, as emasculated as he looks, I don't want to fully call him insanely pussy whipped at this moment in time. I mean, there was also a video that was released, I think, after a UNC basketball game where Bill was leaving the Dean Smith Center and she was trailing behind him, and she was a very, very good distance away. I've had a hard time trying to find that video, and I wanted to include it in this video. I'll still keep digging and maybe put it in the description box, but still, though, at the same time, though, it does look like the man has been emasculated, but still at the same time, though, I also believe that Bill has had to check her a lot. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that there. But of course, I'll probably touch back on it a little bit later on in the video. Do you get the hint of control? She doesn't want to explain how it was that they met. Do you get the hint that maybe Bill might be controlled? Well, I've heard a lot of people try to explain this away by saying that what's going on here is that she's like a personal assistant. I mean, her Instagram seems to indicate that is not the case, that she's obviously found an old dude, a wealthy old dude to hang out with. And, of course, outside of maybe sex, it makes you wonder exactly what the hell Bill Belichick is getting. And, of course, there are people out there who believe that what's really going on here is that Bill is enjoying the fruits of life right very, very, very end, the tumultuous years of his life. Of course, he's going to be coaching UNC Carolina. And I immediately thought to myself that when he signed that contract to go coach at UNC Chapel Hill, that was pretty much a death knell to him himself. And the reason why is because if you live in North Carolina, if you are somebody who just moved to North Carolina, then you will notice that North Carolina has one particular thing, well, actually two particular things that can kill a man very, very quickly. The food, of which Bill is probably not used to eating because he's been up north his entire life. Not to say anything against Northerners, but of course, if you come down south, you find out that hog, pig, is very, very big down here. Barbecue, especially ribs, you know, the type of stuff that'll end your life very, very quickly if you're not used to it. I'm sure Bill has obviously eaten some of that stuff in his life, but still, though, the point is this right here. He's going to be getting a lot of very, very, very high cholesterol-laden foods that will shoot his blood pressure through the roof. And the other thing that you have is you do have a lot of beautiful young Carolina girls who, quite frankly, can end you very, very quickly. But let's watch the rest of the 60 Minutes bit, and then we'll come back on the other end, and we'll see if this right here is him being taken advantage of, or if his judgment is just that bad, or if maybe there's a positive to this. So let's go ahead and watch the rest of it.
Though Hudson has recently posted about it on Instagram.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
What he does follow isn't clicks or views, but touchdowns and, above all, wins.
You do seem like you're having a lot more fun these days than you were in other chapters of your life, let's say.
I enjoy football. I enjoy the whole process of it. It's hard to win, and it's hard to beat other good coaches, good teams. I appreciate the grind. I appreciate the competition. But coaching is fun, and honestly, I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life.
The thing that Shannon Sharp was actually clamoring about the most was the Bill Lottie's bit, which I'm replaying for you guys right here in the B-roll footage. Look, like I said before, Bill Belichick is 73, 74 years old. I personally would not do this, and I think it's pretty daggone obvious that he's got a young girl who has a history of taking advantage of older men in his ranks right now, and you probably think to yourself that this girl is, in fact, for the most part, using him. She's an opportunist. Some of these takes I do, in fact, agree with. But of course, you also get the other side of this where you've got people out there who are saying that, well, maybe what the hell is going on here is that Bill has found himself somebody to take care of all the additional stuff in his life so that way he can focus on football. I'm not entirely in agreement with that, but we're going to entertain this notion anyways. First half, here you go.
I don't think their relationship is weird because I think Bill Belichick is getting exactly what he wants. And Jordan Hudson being controlling to the point of stepping in during an interview to say, we're not talking about certain things. I think that is exactly what Bill's looking for. He wants someone to control everything in his life so that his only focus can be football. I think that is Bill's ideal world. Someone else deal with all the BS, everything else that we have to deal with in life, so that all I can focus on, all I can worry about is football and making my guys better. I think in a sick way, that's what Bill wants. I think Bill wants to be controlled in every aspect of his life that does not pertain to football, because you know what that means? It's one less thing he has to worry about, which means he has more brain power, more brain time to think about football.
I got to say something really, really quick. I didn't say this right before, and I know that the women who watch my channel, there's not that many of them, but I love y'all. I know that you're probably thinking to yourself, maybe if you're in your 70s or whatnot, you might want to get a girl who at least understands the signs and symptoms of a heart attack, stroke, all that type of stuff there. Me being about close to 40 years old, obviously half your age plus 7 would mean 26, 27 years old. That right there is actually a pretty good range because there are a lot of nurses, a lot of women who work in the medical field who, quite frankly, understand the signs and symptoms of a stroke, all that type of stuff to look forward to. And, of course, I'm kind of like in that age where I can still keep myself in shape before I get aged out. But still, though, the point is this right here. That young Bill, this right here could, in fact, be some problems, but let us continue to entertain this notion.
His girlfriend, right, is his manager, is his receptionist, his schedule maker. I'm sure his maybe not therapist. I don't see Bill opening up to anybody. But, like, she handles all the minutia, right, of Bill Belichick's life and what comes with it. Probably cooks dinner, probably answers his emails, probably reads his mail. You know, all the mundane stuff, probably does his taxes. Like, all the stuff nobody actually wants to do, I think Bill wants her to do.
Okay, now, somebody as savvy and as experienced as Bill Belichick should know how to handle the media. But then again, though, at the same time, though, Bill Belichick's MO has always been to not handle the media. In video number 2, we'll be coming back to the Shadier Sanders situation and the new narrative that the media is going out with, which, by the way, will probably be the last video on that topic because I only planned on making one, but here I am making a second. But Bill should know how to handle the media. This is kind of how Bill has always handled the media. All right, so I'm not really surprised by Bill's response. I am surprised, however, by the girl cutting him off. But we shall get to that towards the end of the video. All that right there may in fact be true. She may be his personal assistant. But I also think what that girl said at the very, very beginning about her potentially leaving Bill for a young man who's got NIL money on the way, which, by the way, she would eventually leave him too. I'm not making this video to be critical of this girl, but it's pretty daggone obvious, judging by the way she responded there with 60 Minutes to that reporter. And by the way, 60 Minutes has came out and said that this girl was absolutely, she was atrocious to be around. She kept interrupting. She kept on obstructing certain questions. Basically, she was a pain in the ass. She doesn't want to get out exactly how it was that these two met, which has led some people to theorize that maybe Jordan Hudson could be a good old-fashioned escort. I don't really see that, but maybe it's possible, but maybe there was a past there. I don't know. But I find it hard to believe that Bill just simply said, well, I'm going to take my personal assistant everywhere with me. He's obviously got to be getting something out of it. Or it could just be the fact that Bill Belichick is a 73, 74-year-old man who is trying to, enjoy his life before it ends. I mean, you did just hear earlier that he does, in fact, love coaching. The full interview is primarily discussing coaching. But, of course, it's got some people wondering how good his judgment is. I mean, the last 2 years he was in New England got him sent out the door from Bob Kraft. Now, Bill Belichick maintains that right there was a mutual firing. And I actually believe Bill to a certain extent, because you wouldn't just fire somebody after all the rings. You wouldn't just get rid of him like that. But then again, though, too, if you actually look into the past of Bob Kraft, you will probably have some questions yourself. Also, not to mention the fact all the other scandals, it makes you wonder what the hell was really and truly going on there over that period from 2000 to 2022/2023, which was, by the way, the last year Bill was there was 2022. But still, though, the point is this right here. A lot of people are questioning Bill's judgment. Which brings us to Megyn Kelly. Now, guys, I'm going to let this part play the whole way through. I'm not going to interrupt. By the way, Megyn Kelly is going to be the subject or partially the subject of another video that's going to be coming out a little bit later this week, probably tomorrow, asking the question why it is that conservative men are not okay to get a woman who is willing to settle down or who is willing to raise a family or whatnot. We'll get to that a little bit later on this week. Like I said, probably tomorrow. There's probably going to be 2 videos out tomorrow, which, by the way, is probably going to include that China video. But let's go ahead and get to that.
Well, Robert Kraft, as the owner, said he fired you. And he's like, it was by mutual agreement. But this interview has reasons. So this guy, Bill Belichick, has been in the news lately because his girlfriend, I think, is 50 years, of 47 to 50 years difference between Belichick and his young gal pal. She's 24.
She's 24.
She's a hot property.
Oh, my God. So she shows up at these black tie events with him wearing nothing. She's basically wearing like a bikini, and he's wearing a normal man's clothing. And it looks weird. Like, okay, whatever. I guess I'm not, who am I to judge? But I'm judging. I won't lie. It's weird. And I'm pretty sure she is with him because he's very famous and probably has a lot of money and gets her access to cool things. That's my guess. I'm just going to say it. But anyway, he gives this interview, and now it's starting to look much more like a Jill Biden situation. That's all I could think of, you guys. Like, she's like Dr. Jill on the sidelines calling all the shots and like trying to decide what he can answer and what he can't in this interview. And what we learned today, I'll show you the clip, but what we learned today was that it was far worse than CBS This Morning, which is like a nice program. They try to do like nice stories, would even air. The reason reportedly that they chose to air this one interruption of hers is because it was far worse than this. She was trying to dominate behind the scenes, and they felt it was okay to include one of her interruptions just to give the audience, to be transparent, that they had this monster on screen left who was completely trying to control him.
Being a pain in the ass tells me that she's quite possessive, which tells me there is a possibility that she is, in fact, taking advantage of him. Maybe she's trying to marry him in the next year or two, so that way she can pull an Anna Nicole Smith. Maybe what happened with that last guy was maybe that last guy kind of figured it out. I mean, Bill is like 73, 74 years old. He is, in fact, closer to death than the previous guy. So it does look a little bit like, I don't know, an Anna Nicole Smith situation. It looks that way. But the question is, does Bill know this is the case? Well, as I've said before, I think that Bill looks at this and doesn't really care. Just go over there and organize my stuff and make sure I'm fed at night, and I really truly don't care. Bill, by the way, is probably going to get a confidence boost in case this girl right here does, in fact, dump him or kick him to the curb. That confidence boost is going to be, I've had younger. I mean, I can still get young women, which, of course, is not going to be entirely accurate because this right here is just one of those special cases. Bill, if it were me, dude, I would try to get somebody that's a little bit, I would at least go north of 30 in this situation. At least that there. North of 30, 40, whatnot. Okay, like I said, half your age plus 7. But still, though, her being a pain in the ass and basically controlling what he has to say and not wanting certain things answered, it could be one of those situations where CBS just caught that one moment because CBS, of course, as Megyn Kelly described, would eventually complain about this and put out there that she was an absolute total nightmare to be around. Which also tells me there was probably some dissension in the back, meaning that Bill Belichick himself has probably had to correct her in private. Bill's making a bad decision here, I think, with this girl. But at the same time, though, I don't think Bill Belichick is as stupid as everybody is making him out to be. But let's get to the last point. I don't think it's a Jill Biden situation because Bill, for the most part, still has his faculties. Joe Biden did not have his faculties. I think this right here is more of a situation of an old man who is looking to enjoy the last parts of his life, and he figured to himself, you know what, if this girl right here could do this right here and this right here for me and make my life a little bit easier, I think that there's what the hell this is. The question then becomes, though, is he being taken advantage of? Well, I'm here to tell you guys right now that if this girl was involved with another man who was like 64 years old before this, and now she's latched on to Belichick, and she's pretty much in every single Instagram video, whatnot, I think it's more about her than it is him. And I do believe that she is, for the most part, a bit of an opportunist, that she's using him for her own, own reasons. But Bill's obviously got his reasons for it as well. Now, guys, like I said, what Bill Belichick is doing is not illegal, but it's kind of embarrassing. I want to say TJ Moe over at Jason Whitlock, I want to say in their episode that he basically said that Bill Belichick was tarnishing his legacy with this. I don't really think that that is the case. But when he said that you look weak in front of a bunch of 20-year-olds, you're sending out the wrong message to other men, I do think that that part there was at least interesting. I'll link the full video in the description box so that way you guys could check it out. It's very, very insightful. I don't fully agree with everything that TJ and Jason were saying, but it is, in fact, insightful. Still, though, at the same time, what Bill is doing is not illegal, yet at the same time, though, it does call in question his judgment. Yes, Bill was probably looking at the potential advantages of this, but also at the exact same time, I would hate to see what happens if this girl does, in fact, take advantage of him and, of course, ultimately ends things with him a year or two from now when she finds a hot young stud from another university in the South and she chooses to latch on to them. But then again, though, Bill's been married multiple times, so maybe he knows how to handle this. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. Make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share, sound off in the comments. I would really and truly love to hear what you guys have got to say about this. Tell me where I'm wrong, and I'll see you guys later.